Good day. Thank you for tuning in. On today's episode, we're gonna be thanking a veteran, and today I have Kelly Anderson with me as our special guest. Kelly, how long have you resided in the Edmond area?
I moved to Edgemont in 2001.
In 2001, so about, you'd say 25 years, you'd say?
Yeah, that'd be about 5 years.
5 years? Now,
2021, did I say
oh,
2000? Did I
2021,
say
alright.
2001?
Yeah, he
I
said
did. No,
2001.
2021. I moved into South Dakota, or to Edgemont.
Alright.
So 5 years.
Now, during your time, when did you enlist? And that's when did you enlist in the branch?
I enlisted in the Navy. I enlisted in December of '98, and I got shipped to boot camp in January of '99. So December I enlisted of '98. I went to boot camp January of '99, and then I discharged honorably in 2003.
Awesome. Thanks for your service. Now, what kind of branch were you in under the Navy? What did you do?
I started off as a aviation boatswain's mate fuels. So I was on a carrier. I was on the USS Theodore Roosevelt. It was a conventional nuclear carrier, 71.
Now, during your time, do you have any great memories or anything that you would like to share with
No, I
others?
forgot everything. No, I'm just playing. No, it was a turbulent time for me as grown. I was still a young man, and uh, I got my fair share of trouble, and I've had my fair share of fun, and I've been in my fair share of mud. Like I said, I joined in '99, and Kosovo was going on then, and that's whenever I got on my ship, was during the Kosovo campaign. We came back from the late '99, early 2000s, and then we went to wet dock, which is it's dry dock. It's not as extensive as dry dock, but we had to redo the fuel systems on the entire carrier. So it took quite some time. And then when we were gearing up, we did trials to test it out. We started war games, and we started ramping up for our next deployment. Just so happens 9/11 happened. The ship was on palm leave, which is right when you get back and right before you leave for deployment. They allow you to take your 2 weeks if you have, and they'd send half the ship out for 2 weeks, and then the other, when that half gets back, send the other half if you have the leave. So during the last 2 weeks, I didn't take any leave. We were on a 10 duty section, 10-day duty section, and I had duty on September 10th. After my watch, I'd kind of slept in a little bit, and went back to my shop, and I turned on the TV, and there's these two airplanes, and one of the towers had already been hit, and I didn't realize I was watching this live, and flipping the channels. The next thing I hear, browse secure. And it dawned on me, this is the real deal. And so I grabbed a big old bag of trash, and I walked off the pier, because before we deploy, we have to empty all the trash. We have to be as empty as possible as far as refuse and trash. So, and I got to the end of the pier, hopped in my car home. My wife at the time, she was crying. She had already started having my bag packed. A few days later, they called me and said, "You got to come back to the boat." I'm like, "Okay." So I was all ready to go. We were in the theater. Like we made it on scene 8 days after 9/11. When 9/11 happened, we crossed the Atlantic in 8 days.
Wow.
It was us and the Carl Vincent. We were going to relieve the Carl Vincent, which is another carrier. And since that, we ran two carriers. Our pilots flew 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for like the first 3 or 4 weeks. And we were constantly flying.
Yeah.
And so between two carriers, that's a 16-hour flight from the sea to over Pakistan, and then to drop an ordnance on Afghanistan, they had to fuel 4 times in the air, the pilots did. It was a 16-hour round trip flight, and we were just going. I spent essentially 2 tours on that one. I got out in 2003. Before I got out, I switched over to the Seabees and started getting heavy equipment mechanic trained up, and so that was some fun times.
Now, did you ever operate any of the guns on the boat, or what did you operate any of the weapon systems?
Not on the ship, no, no, I didn't. I fueled aircraft is what I did
Mm,
on the ship, but I worked on on the flight deck where we were launching. You've seen the movies with the carriers like Top Gun,
yes,
seen all the guys in those different colored jerseys.
yes.
We were purple. So
Okay.
if you look on like Top Gun, you'll see a couple guys in purple. That was us. The fuels was purple. The V2 and I forget the two. So the handlers were green. Hope I get it right. I know somebody's gonna call me and yell at me. Green, and I can't remember the other color for the handlers, because they had the resting gear and they had the catapults, and they had 2 different colors for each one. And then we were purple, and then there was blue. I believe white was medical. Maybe it was green and blue for the handlers. It's been so long, I can't remember all the colors,
Yeah.
what they
Oh,
were.
you
So, but no, I didn't spend my entire deployment on the ship.
you're on the ship for your full enlistment,
No,
or where were you?
no, I transferred to the CB unit. Well, I'd been, I'd had a request in since before 9/11 to transfer over to the CBs. I finally got everything approved, and I transferred over. But I didn't go to training right away, so I went from the ship to on the ground. It was a shock. It was a
For
big
those,
difference.
what is the CB unit?
CBs are a construction battalion. They have vertical construction, which is your framers, plumbers, electricians, and then they have horizontal construction, which are your mechanics and your equipment operators. On top of that, we have to be battle ready. So we fight, we build. So while I'm getting shot at working on a piece of equipment, I'm laying underneath and bullets are ricocheting everywhere. Occasionally got to return fire.
So, what is something that you would work on in the CB unit?
They went in with the Marines. Usually, they were right behind them, and whatever the Marines destroyed, we just basically rebuild. We do airstrips, so they could start landing aircraft. We would set up small bases and whatnot. I primarily worked on equipment like the Humvees, the off highway forklifts and equipment, loaders. It's all basically construction equipment, just militarized. Dump trucks, dozers, loaders, excavators, haul trucks. I couldn't tell you daily amounts. I can't even remember what the aircraft, because the Tomcat was still in commission. That didn't get decommed until after I left. I might have the number, not exactly. I want to say it's either 3 million or 30 million pounds of fuel that we pumped for the deployment.
Now, these ships have to have a big storage container for all that fuel, not? What would you say the size of one of them tanks is?
I don't know, maybe 10 to 15,000 gallons. So they didn't just have 1 or 2, they had many smaller tanks throughout the ship.
Yep.
So when you're underway and you're in the ocean, you're the ocean's causing your ship to move. It's called listing, side to side, forward to back, and they have to be able to. They take on water for drinking or desalination, cooling systems, and then we have so much fuel on there because we're a carrier. We also use it. It's called ballasting, which is basically balancing the ship. So if it's heavy on one side, we'll send fuel to the other side, and we can constantly move fuel around the ship to different tanks and different stuff, this same as they do water. So I couldn't tell you exactly. There probably 20, between 20 and 25 tanks on the ship, but they were just smaller tanks just located all around. We would use that to balance the ship along with water.
Now, when the ship needs to go in for docking, does the whole ship go in, or do you have like little lifeboats to take the men?
So that would depend on where we moored at. Mooring is whenever we stop and anchor or anchor out. So our home port, the the port was deep enough that we could just pull up to the pier and tie off and mooring. France was one of the only other foreign ports that I went to that we could actually pull up pier side. But we went to Greece, we went to Bahrain, France, Greece, Turkey. I've been to France twice. Everywhere but France and the United States, we had to anchor out, and they would have ferries.
Yeah,
Not just like it did not like it was just not for vehicles, but for large amounts of people. They'd have ferries coming and going, and they would take the sailors to and from shore. So, but in the United States, we had a we could pull pierside and just whoop, and then just throw out a ladder and walk off.
good deal. Now, Kelly, do you have any um, words of advice for those who are just enlisting or who maybe have enlisted but don't know if they've done the right thing?
Well, I just would say you got to search your heart. It didn't take me very long to realize that our government doesn't have our best interest at heart, but I still love my country, and I served not for my country, but for everybody else I haven't met. I just got it in my head that these were the reasons I was going, and I understood very well that I'm signing my life. When
Yeah,
you sign that paper, you are literally offering your life as a possible sacrifice. Some have given it, some haven't. I'm still here. I've had friends that have given it. Sometimes I feel guilty over that. The other thing is if you can't get it straight in your head that you're doing the right thing, then if you feel any doubt, don't do it because it's gonna fuck with your brain. It's gonna give you nightmares. It's gonna cause you pain. It's gonna cause you all kinds of grief later on. And so I fully believe that you have to believe in what you're doing. You have to believe it's the right thing. You're doing it for the right reason. That's the only way to really get through it. And I still have hard days. I've had friends that aren't here anymore. I have guilt over that. I have seen a lot of messed up things that nobody should see. War is brutal. It's a fact of life anymore now. I also encourage any veterans out there that are hurting or don't know who to talk to. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional over this. March of 2018, I attempted to take my own life. Not because I felt sorry for myself. I didn't want was what was in my head. I didn't want the thoughts. I couldn't focus. The gun didn't go off. It was loaded. If there's any veterans out there, there's all kinds of information. There's hotlines. There's people that will talk to you. There's not all of them are veterans, but most of them have. They've got their own mud that they went through. I just want people to know that there's help. There's people out there that know what you're going through, and you don't have to do it alone.
is there anything else that you would like to mention, Kelly?
Thank you to all my brothers and sisters that are still out there fighting. Thank you for your services. I appreciate every one of you guys, and I love you.
And thank you guys for watching, and that's all we have for today. Hope you're enjoying your day, and don't forget to think of veteran. Now, Kelly, I want to thank you for coming out here today, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Jake,
Now,
for having
this
me.
for you.
Nice.